doing today?
Fantastic, Reid. Hopefully the same for you. We have some exciting action, of course. GT4s at Silverstone, and of course we go back to Lime Rock Park Classic with the MX-5s. So an interesting night of racing, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, that's right. We're heading over to Alex's backyard, Silverstone, coming our way. And I don't think I've actually done a broadcast with Silverstone yet this season. And if somebody sends me the receipts, then I have no excuse. But it was very good, very cool track. I haven't really seen a whole lot like this before in my life. And there it is, the outline. It's like two tracks that are undergoing like meiosis or mitosis, whichever one is the one where the cells come together. But either way, that's what it looks like. Our weather today, cloudy, which either stands for partly cloudy or pretty cloudy. We aren't totally sure. Also, 3 km/h winds. As an American, I don't know what that means. Either way, this is what it looks like, and here's a look at our schedule. As you can see, we are not going too much further. Shockingly enough, day 35, I don't believe is our last day. This is just as many dates as we can show legally on the screen at one time anymore. Straight to jail. So here's a look at our next slide coming up. It's going to be the points. There it is. It is an AMX-5 prize pool, which costs $5 to enter, which is why it's called AMX-5. The points are as follows. It says points, but they're actually dollary dues, American ones, I believe. They're Canadian or Australian. We're kind of ripping you guys off a little bit. It's $25 for first place, $5 for the fastest lap, for a total of $30 if you are both fastest and in first place, which is the case. But actually, the prize distribution is actually quite large. You pay $5 to enter. As long as you place top 10, you're going to win your money, much like these guys, Gael Valero, Calavi, Diego Villarreal, and many of our other top racers who have come out and won hundreds of dollars this season. My God, we're just giving it away. And coming up, this is a look at our fabulous track, not only in the background, but also in the foreground. Marco, what is happening at Silverstone?
Yes, of course, we are racing in the new quote-unquote version of Silverstone, who's been updated in 2010 in real life and only 2 years ago in iRacing, which of course has the track extension, which we can see basically after the start-finish line. All that bit there is all new up until we go to the hairpin and back to the normal track, and of course new track limits, and the starting line has been changed from where it was earlier to where it is now. And after all these years watching it in real life and in sim racing, I still get confused and think that the cars are finishing the lap when in reality they are in the middle of another one. But you know, there's big controversy because the new bit of Silverstone doesn't really fit in well with the rest of the circuit, but still, it's one of the best racetracks in the world. You know, birthplace of Formula One, the first ever Grand Prix was held here in 1950, won, of course, by an Italian, Nino Farina, driving for Alfa Romeo. And Alfa Romeo produces a GT4 car, but no, they don't. Maserati also a GT4 car, but still GT4 quite popular in Italy and of course over the rest of the world, in iRacing especially, an up-and-coming class with a beautiful video that our production crew has prepared for us. We have Aston Martins, BMWs, we have Porsches, and we have McLarens, all kind of beautiful cars, Mercedes of course, in a more accessible price-wise cost in real life, and a little bit more true to the roadside cars compared to GT3s, which are more like less and less similar to the road-going products. So really GT4 is the entry level of GT racing, but they are, in my opinion, a bit tougher to drive compared to GT3, so these drivers will have to be really on point tonight at Silverstone, because it's going to be a tough race for everybody.
Yeah, so every time you're out in the city and you hear somebody like in a car going really loudly, really quickly down the road, Well, those guys aren't very cool, but it's basically the same car as we're racing here today. These guys are way cooler, though. So we're going to be hopping on board with one of many of our current drivers. Looks like we have about 6 today. I believe so, including Corentin Guinness, Gael Valero, Fabio Zamperlini, Gaston Prestaclavi, Jackson Rezende, and Diego Villarreal de Leon. I had that cool last part on. And they're going to be setting qualifying times here in just a second as we finish our practice laps, which I assume is what's happening right now. We're on board with Gael Valero and his very, very cool new livery. Shouts to our production team for the hundreds of hours that it took to put a picture of a car on our screen. And I love the aerial shots because you can get an idea of sort of the lay of the land, literally. Here are all those names that I was talking about. As our players begin their qualifying laps, just through practice, not that they're trying that hard, but a couple minutes around the track, it is a little bit longer, but you're really going to see them speed up a little bit as we get into qualifiers. And keep in mind, these are not Formula One cars, right? So it is going to take a little bit longer to get around that track. Just for comparison, when I was looking at the data earlier, the Silverstone records are kind of shocking for me when it comes to track lap times, because when you look at like Formula One, you're setting like 1 minute 27 seconds, I think was the record by Max Verstappen a while ago. And then GT3s, it gets a little bit more. It's more like 147. And then you get up to GT4s, and it's going to be a little bit more like 209. So to compare, you're losing about 40 seconds just by in the difference between the fastest cars and the GT4s that we're seeing here. So not leisurely by any means, still going to be a very, very fast race. I'm looking forward to seeing what our racers have to show us today as we begin our qualifiers.
Yes, sir. And of course, Gael Valero yesterday having a very, very, let's say, controversial couple of races with Corentin Guinness, especially. They're coming together at Tsukuba with the MX-5s, and of course then they had the beautiful battle, much more clean and respectful and beautiful with the TCR cars around Brands Hatch. So we are back in Great Britain. We are moving a bit further north, of course. Fun fact, this racetrack is based in 2 counties, so you move from one to the other by going basically throughout the racetrack. Now, one of them, a bit of Silverstone, is in Northamptonshire, and the other bit is in I don't remember, I'll tell you later. Anyways, this is a fun fact that I should have, one of the things you remember always, and then the time, when I was called into action, I failed miserably. But what can we say about this beautiful car? Look at this amazing number 22. We know who he is. He is, of course, Diego Villarreal, always driving the black number 22 every time we race around here. And the Mercedes AMG, of course, being one of the newest cars in iRacing, the GT4 variant, together, of course, with the Aston Martin. And we'll see, of course, how the drivers will drive around. Now, this finish line, start-finish line, super easy to go wide and get an off-track, and then you go into the first corner here, which is, of course, now named Hamilton Corner, and then you go into the new section with the corners called Happy, which is this one. No, sorry, this is Village, of course, and then you go into the loop, this long left-hander, incredibly tricky to find the correct point. And this is the new bit, the one I don't like, honestly. And then you go back to the proper racetrack on the Wellington Straight, which is this one. From here on out, it's some of the most iconic names in British motorsport, in world motorsport, I'd say, with Brooklands, Slattery, Woodcote, Cox, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, the Anger Straight, Stowe, of course, and then Vile and Club. The corners from here on out have written the history of motorsport. The only sad bit of the new version of Silverstone is that we cut out my favorite bit of the track, which is, of course, the bridge section, which wouldn't have worked out with the layout they created. Now, if you look here, for example, on the left, this is, of course, going See, this is not the start-finish line, but this was the old start-finish line, Reed, so you get why I get confused now.
Oh, no, I absolutely do, because it looks like you're coming up on it, and then you realize that you still have a little bit of a ways to go. So not a hard mistake to make by any means. Um, I'll help you out to let you know when we're actually
Especially because they still
quite
have
a few
a
of them.
working pit lane, which is used for club events, and they have a starting grid printed on the tarmac. So, and both straights end up with a right-hander. So, but yeah, of course the live timing will help us. And current time Guinness 2 minutes 10 seconds, 7:72. Gal Valero 3/10 back, and Zapperli 3/10 back as well.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Exactly what you should expect to see from GT4 is they are going to be setting times around 2:09, which is basically exactly where we are right now. And those times will improve as our tires warm up, as we get out there and really familiarize yourselves with the tracks. And it's Silverstone, right? So very, very famous track, one of the originals out there for our racers today. You can see that they are right on time. We've got another really cool battle, kind of the story that we're following recently. It's all about schedules, right? You've got to have time in your day to do iRacing, and when you're thinking about your professional career, right? As far as it pertains to AMX, it's been really cool to watch the battles between two of our very, very talented French competitors, Corentin Guinez and Gael Valero. These guys are absolutely at the top of their game, almost 10K I ratings apiece, and it doesn't get much better than that. We've also seen some incredible performances from Fabio Zamperlini, who's been able to hang right with the top racers and keep it very, very close, even picking up a second place win after Corentin Guinez was unfortunately kind of taken out a little bit towards the end of our races yesterday. So there's a lot to keep an eye on here today, and it's going to be exciting to see who comes out on top, because you never know when you have racers of this caliber competing against each other.
See, we have 3 Porsches, 2 Mercs and an Aston Martin on the field today, and we saw, of course, last night in the MX-5 race at Tsukuba the collision between Valero and Guinez, and then of course at the end of the race Guinez got back at Valero by punting him into oblivion after the checkered flag, which maybe explains why in the TCR race thereafter they both played it very, very nicely with each other. I think Guinez got his revenge and it ended it, because when you are a driver as quick and as fast as these guys are, it is absolutely counterproductive. Even if you think you are in the right and you think the other guy has completely wrecked your race, it is counterproductive to carry a grudge over different subsequent races. So good on them for keeping it clean and exciting, of course, last night around Branzach. And these GT4 cars, of course, in the USA, they race in the same series in a multi-class, TCR and GT4, and they are not too dissimilar in terms of overall pace. It's quite common for the faster TCRs to be faster than the slower. Sorry, the faster TCRs go faster than the slower GT4s. So, of course, it's a big difference in concept, because these are rear-wheel drive cars and not front-wheel drive. But still, I still maintain my theory, Reed, that the slower the car, the more fun you have, and the closer the competition is. So this is why I'm having great hopes for tonight for this race.
I totally agree with you, Marco, because it's not like these cars are slow. When we're saying slow, we mean in comparison to LMPs or Formula Ones, right? But these are still cars going incredibly quickly. It's not, and honestly, with as many sharp corners, chicanes that we have in Silverstone, a couple of hairpins in there, it's not like you're going to be reaching those top speeds all the time. And the straightaways on Silverstone are not quite as long. It's more, I guess, segmented, shorter straightaways. So our opportunities to really hit sixth gear and let it all out is not as prevalent here. So I really like that because it gives our racers the opportunity to have a little bit more maybe precision and a little bit more accessible for racers who want to pick up a new car and get back into it. If you're not capable of driving 300 miles an hour all the time, then maybe this is the car for you. And we're going to see that today. All of our racers are capable of running at the very, very highest level, but today we get a chance to slow it down a little bit in comparison and see if that changes how they race. And as we saw yesterday, as Marco alluded to it earlier, even when we are racing things like TCRs, which are not Formula One cars either, it is still a very exciting match. So I'm expecting to see something very similar to that today.
You see the two Frenchmen leading, both in the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport MR. MR stands for Mantai Racing, which is the team that prepares the racing version. And now another fun fact, this one I will be able to complete, is that Porsche loves to put the nominations to their cars. For example, this is called the Cayman GT4 even when you buy from the dealership, but it has nothing to do with it being a GT4 car. Just like the Porsche GT3 Cup car is not a GT3 car. They just named them as they... And, you know, for pure chance, this car became a GT4 car, but, you know, Porsche likes to append stuff to their name, to their car names for no reason whatsoever. But if you go to your dealership and buy a Cayman GT4, you can get the MR, the Mantai Racing package, installed, and this will basically be a track-ready GT4 car. So it will cost you a pretty penny, but you're buying a Porsche anyway, so what is the difference? You know, I think it's like 50,000-60,000 euros on top of the price. I mean, Reed, come on, you're buying a Porsche, you won't have trouble adding that kind of money, I would imagine.
No, I'm trying to get my used 1999 300,000 kilometers Porsche for about, I don't know, $3.50, Marco. When I look for Porsche, I really want a good deal on no, it's one of the I don't know, pinnacles of racing, I guess, operations out there. So I'm not expecting anything less than the best from our Porsches out here today. It looks like our qualifying times, as we can see, nothing incredibly out of the ordinary. Corentin Ganez, Gael Valero, and Fabio Zamperlini up at the top. And then down towards the bottom, we do have a qualifying time set by Diego Villarreal. He's turning over a new leaf and is deciding to set some qualifying times out here today. He is at the bottom with a time 3 seconds ahead of Gaston Calabi, who's about a minute and a half behind, or a second and a half behind Jackson Versenje. So that's the way the field looks going into today, which sets us up for a repeat of our incredibly action-packed duel between our top three racers. And I'm kind of excited to see if there's any sort of changes. But first, we've got to get started with our rolling start here around Silverstone. I'm not sure exactly how long we're going with this one, but we do have everybody out on the track, ready to go. Start our first race of the day for 10 laps at Silverstone.
We're going to have a very short pace lap. Reed is going to be just a couple of corners. So basically they will take the right-hander now here at Vale, and then they will just go through Club Corner, this final chicane, and it will be all in the driver's hands for the restart, for this start.
Yeah, really cool. Just coming around Stowe and then through the starting line right about okay, it's the next one. Right about now. And here they go off to the races through that starting line, and this is what it is going to be like. I'm actually curious to see if Gael Valero is going to make an early move. Sometimes he likes to do this around the first few corners, makes a big move, and then if it doesn't work out, he's got other times to work on it. And here we go. There's that move we're talking about. Whoa, so close. Now trying to come around maybe on the inside for the next one. Swinging around, but can't find that opportunity just yet. Gael Valero hot out the tracks, but it's Ganez able to maintain his lead through our first few corners.
good start from both of them. Good start from Guinness. By the nature of the racetrack, it is almost automatic that they start single file instead of double file. But then Valero was able to close the gap immediately, and almost already the first kind of contact between the pair of them. But Guinness was able to defend well. Now Guinness had a fantastic lap in the last second of qualifying. But I think that the difference between the two of them is much smaller than what the qualifying time showed. And as you can see, Corentin Guinness and Miguel Valero and Jackson Resengi, the top three drivers, all three driving the Porsche Cayman 718 GT4 MR. So right now it seems that, and you can tell that the fourth car by Zamperini is an Aston Martin. You can kind of tell by the gigantic Aston Martin logo on the hood of his car.
Not very subtle. Branding is important. So for these three drivers, it's actually kind of interesting that already we've seen Zamperlini drop down. Resengi must have passed him earlier. It didn't actually get a chance to see that, but that makes our top three, and already starting to kind of separate a little bit everyone except for Guinness and Valero, who are still absolutely neck and neck, bumper to bumper in the front of the pack. And now as we come back around, it's been one lap of racing so far, Marco, and not that much has changed. We did see Zamperlini and Resengi change their spots, but coming around Club Corner into that Hamilton straight through the finish line, and here we go. This is the finish line, Marco.
Thank you. It is the finish line, first lap in the books, and as you can see, of course, the top two drivers, but I mean the top five drivers, all very close. As per usual, Diego lagging a bit behind, but is nothing new. He likes to drive his own race. He knows he isn't as fast as the other guys, but he's there and he's able, ready to pick up the pieces as soon as anybody in front of him should make a mistake. We are riding on board with Gael Valero, and as you can see, the gap will now shrink a bit thanks to the draft that they will get here on the Wellington straight, down to the left-hander on the right side of the screen. We just went past the British Racing Drivers Club grandstand, which is of course reserved to BRDC members, aka the drivers that are hold a license in England. And this is the old start finish. I say old, it's not really the old line, because you see they still have the grid on the ground, the pit lane on the right side, the old Grand Prix pit lane. And sometimes when they have like big events, like when the WEC comes to Silverstone, they have the European Le Mans Series as a support event. The European Le Mans Series will use this one as the pit lane, but they will start the race in front of the main start line, but they will take their pit stops here, which makes for a very confusing time for everybody.
Not expecting even ourselves. So we won't be pitting there today, but we will be coming around for the final couple of corners for the second lap, and I think actually things are getting much closer. As I say that, we see only Zamperlini there on our screen, finally getting joined by Glavi, who's coming up behind, and you can see them all. Excellent reaction there, camera guys, showing us that in fact they are actually quite close together, less than a second separating most of our racers. Coming around Club into the finish line again. There is Zamperlini on your screen right there. You might actually see him go for a little bit of a cheeky, well, actually, no, it's Calavi coming up behind him and actually looking to kind of change his stars a little bit. Zamperlini kind of reacts, pulls away, but see if he can actually keep this lead. Out of nowhere, kind of Calavi is now making a big move, and Zamperlini's got to fend him off. I think he's doing a great job so far as we come around kind of the new hook around Village. It's going to be very, very complicated, as it is not a perfect semicircle or anything. You do have to really react to the changes that they've made there. But Wellington straight is straight away, and this is a hairpin, so everybody going to have to take a little bit of a slow down through Luffield. I said Luffield one time. Alex rolled around in his grave, okay, like, pulled one of the fingers on his monkey paw or something. So now, back in through what I would call the backstretch, Brooklands, and Cops coming up here. keeping things, yeah, as close as possible. Zamperlini and Calabi have kind of made their own thing back at the back, and that's why we're kind of checking this out. I'm still convinced that Calabi wants to make this overtake happen. It's just going to take a little bit longer as we head through our little S's section here back in Nuggets.
One of the most beautiful sequence of corners in the world, and you can see the Mercedes now from the rear view. Beautiful. The thing I will always say is the beautiful thing about iRacing compared to the other great simulators that are around is that the cars move so realistically when you are spectating them, and it's beautiful to see the roll of the car moving left, right, shifting the weight on the sides as they go through this beautiful sequence of corners. And still Culavi can't find a little bit extra of speed to put his Mercedes in a position where he could attack the beautiful Aston Martin of Zamperlini here as they go through the... I'm starting to think that is not the Aston Martin logo, but actually another logo which looks almost exactly like the Aston Martin logo.
Yeah, I think it's actually a parody of the Aston Martin logo. I was having that thought earlier. I think they're playing some tricks on us. That is actually the Petronas logo, so no surprises there. But you never trust these guys. They're always trying to pull a fast one on you, literally. So I'll keep an eye here. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of this.
And of course, here we have two of the most recognizable logos, liveries, sorry, in sim racing. Of course, Corentin Guinness and Gael Valero, who's still just like Culavi with Zamperlini. He's close, but not close enough to go for a move and to make the attempt at the overtake for P1 as we are getting out of Woodcote here, this beautiful corner, and back onto the national start finish line, of course. When they do like TCR, so BTCC, also TCR, and of course the British Superbikes, they use this start finish line and a slightly modified version of the racetrack, which is available, of course, on iRacing. If you choose to race there, as we have a replay here looking at the number 99 going at just a bit deep there, but like just a little bit deep, but he saves it and is able to continue.
Yeah, that's actually fabulous. And if you guys don't respect what you just saw there, oh, he went around a corner. No, it's the ability to have a disaster at your fingertips 24 hours a day, and you've just got to pull something out, right? And I think the ability to save a terrible situation is almost more impressive than the ability to, like, you know, have a very fast race. Because, I mean, as long as you drive basically correctly, you can slow it down as slow as you want and make it around the track. It's when crisis happens, can you react accordingly? And the answer is yes there. So beautiful save there. With our, as we rejoin our cars coming through over halfway now, lap number 5, across that halfway point, the field is relatively unchanged. However, our close racers are still exactly as they were before. Guinness and Valero at the top, and Jackson Calavi, you can see there on your screen, or you could see there on your screen, battling with Zamperlini at the back of the pack for that 4th place position. Back in the front, though, Corentin Guinness continues to lead our racers, followed closely behind by his compatriot Gael Valero. And it doesn't appear as if right now is the opportunity for Gael Valero to change his stars, but with only 0.7 of a second between, absolutely anything can happen. We still have 3 more laps to go.
Corentin takes the outside curb going through the national pit straight and preparing for Cops, of course, the theater of the dramatic collision in 2021 between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, which of course gave a penalty to Hamilton, but also took Verstappen out of the race, a race that Hamilton later won. As we go through the Magos Beckesen Chapel complex here, which will take us on the Hangar Straight, and you can see, you can tell we are in iRacing because you will see something you don't see every day when we go back there. which is alcohol sponsorship, which usually is banned normally in video games or severely limited to games that are rated 18 plus, of course, here in Europe, and I imagine, of course, the same rating in North America. But iRacing, I don't think, has a rating, and so they literally put the advertisement they find the day they go there to scan the racetrack. There is a Johnny Walker ad there, which I'm a big fan of, by the way, and yeah, so it goes in the game. There are even in some tracks some of the older scans, some tobacco sponsorship, which is something unthinkable. I have no idea how they are still there after all these years, but still they are there.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by any of those companies, but if you're watching, give me a call.
But if Johnny Walker wants to send me a bottle that I can enjoy in between races, I'd gladly do that.
This is how you can tell that Marco casts in the evening, because for me out here in South Korea, it is about 8 a.m. in the morning, 9 a.m. So I may not be able to enjoy that in between our races. Depends on how my day is going. So coming in through Luffield, Luffled. I make that mistake every time. I'm just gonna do that so that when Alex rewatches the broadcast, he cringes a little bit inside. It's my goal at all points in time. This is almost our last lap, coming through halfway on lap 6, and as you can see, the distances are widening in almost all of our races. We have seconds, and that means that if unless anything crazy happens, it's going to be most likely our racers that have their destinies in their own hands, as we won't be having any more altercations like we did yesterday, which really tragically changed the outcome, the final outcome of the last time we saw these two racers on your screen, Corentin Ganez and Gael Valero. With a second between them and only 2 more laps to go, I think this looks basically like what we may see at the final, unless disaster strikes. But if our racers can keep it together, then they will be setting up for a finish as we see them right here. For guys like Kalavi, he started in 5th, finishes in 5th, or at least is looking to finish in 5th, and he's just had a solid race, which honestly is just as good as having the best race of your life when you think about it from a consistency standpoint. Can you get out there and deliver? And the answer is yes for everyone, including this guy, Gael Valero. So, or Corentin Ganez, rather. With Valero on his heels, though, if there is a time to take away another of his race victories, now is it. You just have to teleport a minute or a second into the future, catch back up, and see if he can take away, steal this race victory from his French compatriot.
You see the gap there is almost a second, but Guinness is not leaving anything on the table. He was weaving on the the Wellington Straight, trying to break the draft that any kind of draft, you know, when you are 1 second in front, is not really that strong, and he's not really that strong to begin with his cars, but Guinness doesn't want to leave anything on the table and give any unnecessary advantage to his compatriot, and so you see that right now, right and then left, trying to force Valero to follow the same trajectory if he wants to get the draft, and of course slowing him down, making it as difficult as possible for him. We are basically with 1.5 laps left, and I just want to say that of course in the next race will be with the MX-5s in a rookie track, which was exactly the same combination we had in race 1 yesterday. So I'm starting to think that if Valero can't get closer to attack Guinness at the end of the race here, we might have some big fireworks. This will be, you know, settings-wise, the rookie car on the rookie track, same car of course, will be a repeat of what we had for race 1 last night. But you know, it seems like Valero gets closer in some parts of the racetrack, but he's missing that extra oomph, you know, of speed to close the gap and then go for a move. They'll get the white flag right now, so the chances for an overtake are getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, don't worry, Marco. As soon as they hit the next DRS zone, he's gonna slide right past him. 0.7 of a second is nothing compared to being able to change the angle of your tail. Anyway, it is getting closer. It was up to a second earlier, but for Ginez in the lead, it's not as comfortable as he might have wanted it to, closing down from a second to 7/10, maybe even less here coming up. This is our white flag lap, halfway through, coming through that village turn into Aintree. Wellington straight away, see if this is enough for Valero to put the pedal to the metal and close that gap a little bit. He's got less than half the track left, or actually exactly half the track left, but as they come around Luffel, he's got to do it soon. And he's closing the gaps, tenths and hundredths less and less, and you can really see him taking up all the real estate in the rearview mirror of Corentin Ginez, our race leader. He cannot become complacent. He has to execute as consistently as he has for the entire race, and incredible job by Gael Valero to keep this close and make this as difficult as possible for Corentin Ginez to take away that first place position.
Just a few obstacles left for the number 718 going through the beautiful complex gap now, half a second, so it's getting down, but not down enough for Valero to try and go for a move. This is basically his last few chances, and still he needs to close the gap just a bit more if he wants to go for a move in the final corner. He's getting closer and closer, not this close, this is of course our camera, getting closer and closer, but unless he makes a desperate lunge. Oh, a small mistake here from Ginez though.
It is a small mistake, and that means that Gael Valero, in the last seconds of this race, as they come around the final club corner into the Hamilton straight, this is it. He's got a tenth of a second, a couple of hundredths, and he's going to bump him off the track. The last second. A terrible tragedy, and that means that, I'm not sure what to assess them for penalties, but Gael Valero overtakes at the last second.
And bong, just like yesterday, but with a smaller violence. Now, did they get a slowdown? Because it's very difficult to clear a slowdown coming out of the final corner, and they both cut the track, so we'll see if iRacing gave them any penalties. But drama strikes out of nowhere. Once again, these two guys can't stay away from each other. Oh boy.
Every time I tell you, Marco, we're legally obligated as commentators to say that at any point in the race, anything can happen. And I hope you believe me now. This is crazy. Gael Valero stealing the victory away at the end of the race with a little bit of bumper cars action. Again, Ginez drops back a spot. And after leading the entire race, I didn't know, but I had this feeling, right, that this is not in the bag just yet. And at the very last seconds, you really saw that come to pass. Gael Valero Corentin Ginez made that one small error coming through the opening to that club corner, and you really saw Gael Valero exploit that, take advantage, and take the win in the end.
Oh boy. We had some spice coming for the MX-5 race, but this is like, even more. We see the replay. They both go side by side. Of course, you can see there that Ginez is ahead of Valero getting into the final corner. I think they both forced the issue because Valero, of course, was behind, and maybe Ginez turned a bit to the right. In this case, I think that Ginez was... if I were to assess a penalty, I would have given it to the number 33 carrier, because I think the position was held through the corner by Ginez. But certainly, if they are both going to take part in the next race, this is going to be incredibly spicy. Basically, just like the chicken tikka masala my girlfriend makes. Amazing.
There you go. You knew there was going to be a food tie-in there at the end. Excellent job, Marco. as always. And truly an excellent job to our racers. Incredible race as always. AMX Season 2 delivering. Of course, it's our players that make it possible. So if you'd like to make it possible and become one of the players in this season, head on over to amxrace.com. And if you'd just like to share some of your thoughts on this season with some emojis or OMGs, you can hit us up on the Discord server or any of our social media, which you can see sparkling around down below our screen. We're going to take a quick break, and that means in 30 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes or so, we'll be back. So don't go anywhere. Go grab a snack, and we're coming back with the Mazdas on Lime Rock Park for our final race of the day. See you then.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break Reminder and Force Break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force Break activates to rest your eyes. I Care You. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break Reminder and Force Break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force Break activates to rest your eyes. I Care You. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software.
It's time. We're back with more from AMX Season 2, race day 31, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome, everybody, to the second half of today's broadcast. We have one final race for you guys today. It's on Lime Rock Park, and we're going to be racing Mazdas. So what are your thoughts, Marco? We just had this the other day, and it was pretty fire. What are you expecting from our final race today?
I think this is like the most common combination in iRacing if you're on the road side of things. MX-5s around Lime Rock Park. It is the rookie track and the rookie car. So everybody knows this like their back of their hands. And so I'm expecting some absolutely fantastic action on the racetrack for the second race of the day.
Well, Marco, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm pretty sure that if you have to learn something, maybe get real familiar with something like GT3, but if you have to pick something else, Mazda MX-5 Cups are one way to do it. Lime Rock Park, also very iconic. It's not rocket science, but it does have a few kind of subtleties that you have to respect. And one is that this is an up and down track. You are really going to get some sharp downhills, uphills, and you really have to navigate them. So even though you look top down at the track layout, not going to tell you the full story. The 31st race on the 31st day. We also had that yesterday with the 30th on the 30th, and now that's it. I believe that's the last time that happens for this season. We are moving into the month of June coming up. And we do have about 15 more race days left, give or take, a few less. And this is a look at our earnings. We showed this earlier, but this is for our AMX 0 races. And if you're wondering what AMX 0 is, eventually we'll have some way to show that to you. It is basically our free race, and that means that you can enter for free and win up to $19 if you have the fastest lap and finish in first place. And that's how these guys won their money, hundreds of dollars for free. This is why you guys should come out and race on Lime Rock Park. Iconic, like I said, altitude is 154 meters, but that doesn't really tell the whole story of this very iconic racetrack. Of course, if you guys do Skip Barber Racing School, this is where that is. And certainly one of the oldest tracks in America. Nice to see that it has stood the test of time and still remains a dynamic and exciting part of modern races today. And these are Mazdas. Take it away, Marco.
And a Global MX-5 Cup car, as I was saying, if you want to go through the rookies, until a few years ago you had to go through this car. Now you can sort of skip it if you want to maybe do the Formula V or the Formula Ford are also available as rookie cars with all rookie content. But honestly, if you want to go through closed, enclosed wheels like GT or Cup cars, this is the starting point. A beautiful car. Free car on iRacing, developed closely with Mazda, and from what I've been told from drivers that race this car in real life, this is a spot-on representation. So absolutely the best, if not the best car, and so fun to throw around. And racing updates is constantly. Just recently this car in real life got of course the paddle shifted the gearbox, and so we got it in the car, which made it much more accessible to drive, because earlier it was much better to drive if you had an H shift pattern on your sim racing setup, which not many people had, of course. So seeing on the top left of the screen, read our entry list. Manuel Scoli is back, of course. Octavio Rondoletto is back. And the thing we all wanted, the top of the table, Corentin Guinness, Gael Valero. Round 4, we should say, at least from yesterday and today. And things, as I was saying earlier, are about to get spicy. Hopefully we stay within the boundaries of, normal behavior.
Well, we're really kind of stretching those boundaries. It's round 4, and we are about to see a fight here for first place. We got Triple Eights, as always, Quarantanguinez up there at the top. And number 48, the 48, even, Octavio Rondoletto, is coming to join his countryman, Gaston Presta-Calavi, who is cosplaying Diego Villarreal there at the bottom. Hasn't come out and set a lap for us just yet. Man on your screen, Gael Valero, a criminal, robber. He is stolen. Whoa! I don't know what we're doing there, but that was almost a sick drift. But he's going to disappear back into the pit as we finish up our practice time. Some showboating style points there at the end. And this is practice, so talking about practice. Corey Tinkinez, Kyle Valero up there at the top. We're probably going to see that distant. Although Kimo Scully, a newcomer, but has placed quite highly. I believe winning one of the first races I saw him enter here. So very, very exciting to see him here competing with the top of the table, trying to make this a race. And it's always very exciting to see that here on Lime Rock Park, because it really does sort of give you a lot of skill expression, given that it is not incredibly complicated track, not like you're going to be facing like incredible back-to-back hairpin turns. There's a little bit of one after the finish line, but it's not incredibly difficult. Warming up the tires, getting out there, and it's going to be an exciting day for Mazda on Lime Rock Park.
You are right, Reed, absolutely. It's not the most difficult of racetracks, but one thing I've always noticed, this is one of my favorite places to run around. I like to do Rookie Series because I'm not very fast, and Rookie Series have the more participation of all the series, and so I always find drivers of my terrible quality to race against. So Lime Rock Park comes up often, of course, and this track is absolutely relentless, and it's a perfect rookie track because the first thing it teaches you is to never drop your concentration levels. There is really no place where you can catch a breath. You can only basically relax for a few seconds when you are on the main straight, but even then you have to prepare. And turn one, you need to be super careful. Valero is playing chess, by the way. I will have to show this because I know that his teammate, which is also my good friend Michele Costantini, recent winner of the 12 Hours of Sebring here on iRacing, is also a very big fan of chess, and so I want to see now Gael Valero versus Michele Costantini in a chess match for the Apex Racing Team throne. That was quite interesting. Nice way to relax yourself before you start the qualifying. As I was saying, turn one, if you miss your braking marker, you are going wide, and if you go wide, there is all grass there on the outside of turn one, big bend of course, and when you clip the grass you are absolutely going off the track. There is no way you can hold your car on the tarmac if you clip the grass there on the left. And from here on out it's corner after corner, and of course we're racing the Grand Prix layout, which has only one chicane, chicane at the foot of the hill, which will come next after this beautifully named straight. I don't know if you know this, but this one where Rondoletto is called the no name straight because they only have like 6-7 corners around here, and they still couldn't come up with a name for the backstretch. Then you have the chicane, then you go up the hill. There is another chicane at the top of the mountain hill, but it is not used thankfully in this lane. I really don't like it. It's like a square corner, it's bad. And then when you go downhill to West Bend and diving turn, like that's absolutely amazing. And even then there no space for errors, no space for mistakes, honestly. And fun fact about this racetrack, which hosts big events, like they host an annual race in the IMSA series with so big top level championship. There is no grandstand of any kind. It's all natural seating on the grass and the embankments. How beautiful!
See, that's what I'm wondering about, right, Marco? Is usually we have grandstands, and grandstands, of course, populated by the second greatest feature of iRacing, and that is the fans. So with no grandstands, that means we just really have to sit some poor digital people out here in the middle of nowhere. Whoa, this is crazy. On board with Corey Tinkinez, trying to overtake and qualify. I don't know what's happening here. Getting that draft on. And yeah, I mean, I was talking about fans off the track. We got to talk about big fans on the track. We have a couple of windows into the soul here with flare cameras showing us exactly what it looks like, the intensity. Guys like Corey Tinkinez up there at the top, who is now the fastest lap time of any of our qualifiers. Of course, Kyle Valero, he's too busy playing 5D chess in the background, so we'll see if he is also going to come out here and qualify, or maybe he has something else to work on. Marco, did you know my number one phrase is the duality of man? I appreciate you being an intellectual like myself.
Maybe I going to use say that maybe in the past, and that's maybe why I came up with. I did some psychology in university, little bit of it, so maybe it's because of that. I like to find always the rational explanation to any kind of weird happening. But Gael Valero is sitting on the pit exit, but he's not actually on track for an outlap. So I don't know if he wants to start at the back, maybe he wants to keep his distance from Corentin Guinness as much as possible, or maybe... See, he's sitting there. He's still playing chess. Okay, thank you to our beautiful production team who's working so hard behind the scenes. And as you can see, like I know how to play chess, but I'm a terrible, terrible player.
No, knight
so
e3.
I really envy the people that can play chess and use their heads whilst doing that.
I mean, that's the issue, right? It's one thing to win a race, right? So you win a race, but like it's another thing when you win a race, or like so say you're about to win, and then this guy beats you, and you feel bad. You're like, oh man, this guy beat me. But then you find out that he beat you while also playing chess at the same time, and then you just never race again. It's over at that point. You can't recover. So I appreciate his skills on and off the track. Seems like he has quite a few of them. However, I will say that Gael Valero doing his best to keep us in suspense here. We're over halfway through qualifiers, and he is still sitting there in the pit lane trying to finish his chess game before coming back and trying to set a lap time less than 59 seconds. 59.9 up there for Corentin Guinness. That is pretty fast.
Yeah, the only driver below the 1 minute mark so far, with Kulavi not far behind, but still, of course, Valero is still sitting in the pits unless he wants to do like a spectacular one attempt at the very end, but he needs to get out of the pits basically in the next minute and a half. Kulavi beats him at 59.879, so we have a new provisional pole sitter. Corentin Guinness does not improve. And we can have the official confirmation that Gael Valero will not attempt to qualify as Gaston Kulavi. As you can see here, student driver, of course, nice yellow livery, so you can tell everybody to be careful because, you are a student driver. And so iRacing, if you go on the Trading Paints website, offers a big selection of, be careful when you are around me kind of liveries, and this is one of them. My favorite one, of course, is the crash test dummy liveries, which are some of my favorite.
Well, Gael Valero is doing hard mode this time. He is going to start at the back and work his way forward for a more electrifying racing experience. So we'll see if he adds some excitement to kind of spice up our life. My favorite Spice Girls song by far. Only 1 minute and 30 seconds left in qualifiers. So really impressed to see how close this is. Jackson Resenche setting 0.02 of a second slower lap time than Manuel Scoli. He's coming back for another one, and there it is. Even faster time. Oh, this is crazy. We've got hundreds and thousands of seconds separating our racers, all setting very, very similar times around Lime Rock Park.
Rondoletto is on a very good lap, and of course they are so tightly bunched, he could get many positions from this lap he's having right now should he complete it with a pedestrian final sector, but still good enough for third place. And you can see he's so close to pole position. Absolutely amazing how tight. I always say this, it's an unmistakable rule of sim racing and of real life racing as well, in my opinion. The slower the cars, the bigger the fun. It is impossible to get it wrong. And let me tell you another thing. Since we had a new switch to a new calendar format for AMX, I am loving it 100%. We've had some fantastic races basically on a daily basis, and of course with big participation. And of course we are getting even more familiar with the various cars and the drivers as well are involved in this because they know what they are going to be racing. And these rookie combinations, let's be honest, are the absolute best of them all. Look out for Guinness, by the way.
Absolutely, Marco. I think the more you simplify things down, the more you get back to the basics, right? Can you go fast? Yes. So, nice to see we've removed as many barriers as possible. People coming out and racing in AMX Season 2, rookie cars, tracks, all of the above. It's so easy. It's never been easy before than now to get on out there and try yourself. Student driver, crash test dummies, we'll take them all. You can find yourself a place here in one of our free races, like this AMX 0, as you see an exciting finish, as always, to our qualifiers, which will be taking the checkered flag and taking us into the starting position for our final race of the night. There we go. Zamperlini hooking us up with a quick trip to Mars.
And in the final lap, wasn't able to improve Corentin Guinness, but the driver that was able to improve was Gaston Coulavi. Was already on pole, but he got just a tad quicker to put some extra polish on his pole position. No pun intended, of course, to our beautiful crew behind the scenes, of course, which many members are also from Poland, which is one of my favorite countries in Europe, by the way. And we are just getting ready for the race. The drivers will grid, and now you will see our beautiful faces in a second, maybe. No, this is not true. We'll see the results, of course. Coulavi, Guinness, and Rondoletto, and Resengi in the top 2 rows. Zamperlini, Manuel Scoli, and our last to first challenger for the day is Mr. Gael Valero. Will he get in touch with Corentin Guinness? And what is going to happen in that case?
Well, if I was working for like a newspaper, Marco, here's what I would say. I would make a big front page that says, Gael Valero, from first to last, washed up, ? So we'll see what he can do. It's a 7-racer field with Manuel Scoli joining us here today. He does place towards the bottom, but he has placed very highly at the end of races. So as we populate the grid for our start here today on Lime Rock Park, there's a lot of really interesting storylines coming into this. Whether it's Gael Valero sitting at the back where he's used to kind of being in the front, whether it is Coulavi actually overtaking Corentin Guinness for that provisional pole position, or if it is Guinness and Valero and their bad blood after Valero upset him quite literally in the end of our previous race. It is going to be a standing start for us today. The rubber is burning, the tires are spinning, and we're off for lap number 1, Lime Rock Park. And here we go. Around the circle we are with Coulavi still in front, a half second between him and Corentin Guinness. And now it's Scoli, Valero, and Zamperlini all back in the back. But with Valero already making up one spot, you have to ask yourself, how soon is it going to be before he gets this pass on Zamperlini? Zamperlini in trouble, and there it is. Valero eking out that lead. He's up 1, he's up 2. Whoa! Spinning out after a big bump. He's taking the Mario Kart shortcut. He's driving on the other side of the track in the future.
A big mistake from Gael Valero. He made a fantastic pass there, but there are those big curves there, orange. Oh, where is Rondoletto going? No, it's Resengi, sorry, Resengi going very wide in his Texaco. Tony Canan, Esports livery. Guinness going for the lead on the inside of Coulavi, who smashes the door in front of him. And so Valero, his gamble doesn't pay off because now he's basically 8 seconds and a half back of Scoli. He's out of contention for the race win read, and so now we shall see, because all 3 of these drivers, I think all 4 of these drivers have a legitimate chance at victory. But of course we know, I think Coulavi and Guinness have a bit more pace, but look at Coulavi defending for his life already. And so I don't know how long our Frenchman Corentin Guinness will be patient.
Yeah, very, very difficult. You can even see coming along beside. It's too wide into the turn, and Coulavi and Guinness neck and neck on the inside. Coulavi still in the lead for now, but he is a very tiny fish in a very big ocean here with 3. Now forming a Mazda Centipede running through the finish line for our 3rd lap. This is incredible. These such close racing. Lime Rock Park delivering, and our racers are the mailmen, giving us the package of joy. Today, I can't continue the metaphor even any farther, but Bobby's in front, but defend his lead, and he will maintain a slight one, but only the slightest. On the other end, we've got Gael Valero. He's managed to make up about 3 seconds, or 3/10 of a second worth of time. So if he can do that another 500 times, he'll be in the lead. On screen, of course, you can see Corentin Guinness, the face of murder, currently in the lead. Or actually not in the lead. He's been overtaken by Resenge after just the craziest first laps I've seen on Lime Rock Park all season long.
See the trophies he keeps there on his desk. He takes a weird line getting into turn 1. Now we have, of course, basically a 6-car battle for the lead, and they are, the only chance that Valero has is that these guys somehow slow each other so much. Valero fastest lap of the race because, of course, he's in clean air. These guys have to basically account. We saw for each other. We saw that a bit in the previous lap, a couple of laps back. There was some bump drafting between Kulabi, Hesenji and Rondoletto. That could be a key thing for later, because with these cars, if you are careful, you can bump draft just like you'd be on a novel with some NASCAR race cars. So, by the way, thinking of NASCAR race cars, on the outside of turn 3, you will see Jeff Gordon's beautiful face on a billboard.
He's everywhere. I can't escape him. Jeff, just call me. Okay. He'll be setting the new fastest lap of the race within 1 minute of time around Lime Rock Park. Guinness ascends to that 2nd place position, with Resenge dropping back down, and Gael Valero closing with the fastest lap time set of his own, almost closing at 2:09.9 he had earlier. Amazing camera angles as always, but it's exciting to see this. I thought it was going to be a more exciting storyline to see Gael Valero overtake from the back. Now he certainly has his work cut out for him, as every single one of our racers has really, turned on the gas. It's been a very, very exciting back of the pack. We see Scully making some moves of his own to climb up. Zamperlini now falling back down to 6th.
Super focused as per usual, Fabio Zamperlini, whilst at the front of the pack. Corentin Guinness moves left, moves right, moves left again, trying to find a way past Kulavi, who's making that MX-5 bigger than a 747 in an hangar, and is not allowing the Frenchman to go through at any cost. And of course, every time you attempt to move in a field as tightly bunched as this one, you have to be careful, because behind you, Hesenji, Rondoletto could sneak in for a move. In the meantime, Valero has gained a bit. Now on the outside, the Frenchman, no dice.
Nope, unable, but look, we got a little bit bumper cars at the front. It's Resenge, Guinness, and Calabi all fighting for the lead. 3/1000ths of a second, and Guinness in front for now, coming up behind. That Tony Kanaan Texaco is not going to be allowed to pass just yet. Guinness overtakes for the lead. Calabi, Resenge down there in 2nd and 3rd. The hundredths, tenths of seconds separating our top 6. What is this? An incredibly even race for everyone. Scully being overtaken, Zamperlini climbing the ranks, Rondoletto maintaining, but even he is about to overtake Resenge. Now going for it, but can't get it done there, back in the back. Student driver, you're not fooling me. This guy is a monster. Clavi now recontesting for that lead, and this is only the 7th out of 18 laps. We got to do this all over again, so there's even more potential for some of the best action we've seen. Meanwhile, back in the back, Gael Valero has made up 3 seconds of time. I'm not sure where it went, but maybe he's a time traveler. He is absolutely killing it back there. We could absolutely see him finish up the rest of the 6 seconds if there's even more battling that slows it down our front 6 racers. It is an incredible example of what is one of the closest races we've had all season long.
What a fantastic overtake from Corent and Guinness round the outside of the final corner. That takes some major courage. Not saying any other word which I could have used there, because I mean that was so perfectly timed and in a pocket of space that was only that pocket of space. But now you can see it's impossible to run away from this angry pack of Mazda MX-5s. Oh boy! Zamperlini knocking on the rear bumper of Octavio Rondoletto. You know, from soccer especially, there is a massive rivalry, not only in soccer, but mostly because of it, between Brazil and Argentina. We have Argentina, Brazil, Argentina, Brazil, Argentina from second down to 6th, and of course many fantastic drivers coming from both of these countries.
Here we go, trying for around the outside. You can see good day to be a yellow car. Very successful. As now, I think most of the action is there towards the middle. It's Rondoletto and Zamperlini is getting hungry coming up behind him. Guinness maintaining that lead for now, but you can see Calavi is closing, looking for another opportunity of his own. Back to the pack, Scully, Zamperlini also incredibly close. So a lot to look for as we head around our halfway point for our time here at Lime Rock Park. Some big bumps, and that is not the way you want to take through those. Not really the smoothest path, but Scully is now making a big move of his own.
And Zamperlini got almost caught flat-footed by that bump from behind from Scully. His car had a major wiggle on the top of the hill, but he was very good in saving the car. Unfortunately for these three drivers, this battle created a big gap, 2.3 seconds now between them and the podium, which could be one of the decisive moments of this race, because for the first time we officially have a breakaway at the top of the field.
I guess that's a good way to put it. Took us long enough, half the race, and everybody was absolutely neck and neck. Maybe this will give our drivers more time and more space to work with, but honestly, it's just going to be two different sections of the same action we've been seeing all race long. In the meantime, Gaio Valero now making up, I believe, over 4 seconds of difference from the back. So he's only got 8 more laps to do it with. It's a tall order, but we certainly are seeing some very fast times being set. I believe he actually had the fastest lap for a second. And now, all out of nowhere, making up another 0.5 of a second. I don't know what's going on back there, but he's got the NOS for sure. Up at the front, though, or the rear pack, we've got Scully now contesting Zamperlini and really looking for an opportunity to take that coveted 4th place spot away. When is he going to go for it? The opportunity, the time, maybe now.
You know, if this was the Tour de France in cycling, with the Tête de la Cour, of course, Guinness, Kulavian, and Hesenji, and the peloton, of course, being Zamperlini, Scully, and Rondoletto, with Valero lagging behind, but still getting closer and closer, slowly but surely. Maybe we won't have enough time to close the gap as we see the 3 leaders jumping at those curves there. The chicane can really mess up your race in an instant. And so I think the smart thing to do for Hesenji here will be not to attack Kulavi unless he is absolutely certain he can make the pass, because if Guinness can break the draft and run away, the fight for the lead could be very well over in that very moment.
Absolutely so intense. The red lights are on. That is a rough time to slam on the brakes. 3 neck and neck up here at the front. Resenje Calavi, Guinness is separated by hundreds of seconds at some points. It is so close up there. Intensity coming around the corner, and for Calavi, I think he's maybe in the roughest spot. He has to worry about getting to the front and also defending against Resenje, who's also looking to come up and take his spot away from him also. right behind them. There's even more action as Scully's now looking to overtake Zamperlini, but both the sections just have so much action. You can see coming around the corner, Corentin Guinez, Eye of the Tiger, getting bumped a little bit from behind. Who's the student driver here? I don't know. Galavi maintaining, and we're on board with him right now, seeing Corentin Guinez. Resenge now from the back with Galavi in his sights. You can see Galavi, you're coming out to the outside. He's looking for it. He's going for it. Pedal to the metal. He's not able to come around and won't be pivoting to the inside quickly enough to overtake Guinez this time around.
What a fantastic race, and of course we have the same battle for 4th, 5th and 6th behind them, but this of course is where the cameras are going to be the majority of the time, because fight for the lead is always super exciting, especially if we have 3 drivers, all 3 of them fantastic, all 3 of them with a fantastic chance of winning this race, almost equal. Let's say of course Guinez being in the lead slightly favored, but we've seen many times over. Galavi, I think, has the chance to pass him, but he wants to pass him as late as possible because he knows that Guinez has the pace to pass him back again. Of course, easier said than done, especially when you have Hasenji behind you, and he wants to make the pass now on Kulani because he wants to be the guy to attack Guinez when the time is right. So it creates an interesting dynamic where all 3 of these guys are wishing for the same thing, but not really. And especially Guinez, he doesn't want to pass for the lead. He wants to be there and defend like it's the last lap, every lap, and so far so good. 5 laps to go.
5 laps goes right, and for Corentin Guinez, he knows that while he holds the lead for now, we've seen this before somewhere, Marco. It's not Gael Valero behind him, but absolutely cannot take that lead for granted. Had 2 races where he has been there and lost it, so he will absolutely be checking that rear view and making sure that this time is not a repeat of that previous situation. On board with our top 3, and it really cannot get much closer than this. Resenge now may be overtaking Galavi. He's looking for a trip out to the outside. You can see him continually sharking to the outside, coming around the inside of our next curve. It is lap 15 done and underway with our 14 done and underway with our I guess one of our last 4 laps here. Resenge 0.2 of a second coming around. Can he find the space that he needs? No, it's just such vigilance from Galavi to keep I don't want to call it defensive driving because obviously you're setting up for the next turn, but here we go, out to the outside. He's going to do it. He gets the tap on the back and sends Galavi way out into the grass, but actually winds up kind of giving him a nice apex there. You wouldn't want to call it that, but even more action as Resenge hits him again.
And they both smashed into the outside wall. I think big damage for the Brazilian there. He gets attacked by his fellow countryman round the outside. Big trouble for the Tony Kanaan driver. And now
oh my God, what's that?
Oh, bit more than updraft. This is like some proper shoving out of the way from Scully, and Rondoletto will profit. Maybe, yes, another contact here because, why not? You can see the front end of that Texaco Tony Kanaan racing car looking rather second-hand, and now see the damage is too much, and he goes around, spins. I want to see also if Gulavi's car is okay, because he got a big smash as well into the barriers there, but the bigger hit was for Resenge. A fantastic race ends in utter disappointment, and this is what I was talking to you about earlier. The moment the 2 guys in second and third had a clash, Guinez got the break he needed, and now he's cruising for his final 3 laps of the race.
And honestly, the most impressive thing to me is that somehow Gael Valero will not finish in last place. Not a sentence I would have said before the race started, but there it is. And to his credit, he was originally about 9 seconds back, and now 4.5 back of Rondoletto. That's still pretty darn impressive as far as making a comeback is concerned. However, we are on lap 17 of 18, and that means that unless he's got some time travel coming up, it is going to be a little bit difficult. As you can see him in his X-Wing setup down there. looking to maybe hit the afterburners and make some history. But for right now, it's Rondeletto Scoli. The overtake is big. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but all of a sudden, just seconds transpiring out of nowhere. Valero only 2.5 behind after Scoli with a major slowdown.
And I think some big front left damage for Scoli, who went into the barriers there, coming out into no-name straight as the white flag is waving from our friend Barney the Flagman, as of course you can see in the distance is Corentin Guinness taking turn 1, as Gulabi and Zamperlini will battle it out for second and third. Rondeletto seems to be safe in fourth, so you can see him there in front of the camera, and Scoli and Valero probably finishing 5th and 6th. His fight for second place could go all the way, and of course Lamrock Park you can have some beautiful races to the line side by side with your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely, and we are going to go around one of our final quarters of the race for us right now. The back straight is where we're at, coming around through West Bend, the driving turn in front, and then Sam Posey all the way home for Guinness. He will almost guaranteed pass that checkered flag the first, with Calabi coming back behind. Zamperlini neck and neck. Can he make it happen? The very final moments, it will not be enough. It's a Corentin Guinness victory with Calabi behind. Zamperlini sending it into outer space. And there we have Guinness running around, getting some nice yard work done to celebrate his victory over the rest of our racers. Gael Valero finishes in 6th at the back of our race. After no qualifiers, he returns from whence he came. Apex Racing Team representative back there. Not where I'm used to seeing Gael Valero, but at least it is Corentin Guinness getting a victory, and Gael kind of helping him out there a little bit. A lot of love to the 888 from France, Corentin Guinness. Congratulations to him for his victory here on Lime Rock Park.
What a fantastic race this was, Reed. Absolutely amazing, and surprises, battles all over the field, and it was everything we expected. We all expected the Guinness versus Valero in this race. We didn't get that, but we still had a fantastic second race, and a well-deserved victory for Corentin, and a fantastic fight for the podium and all the other positions. Absolutely amazing stuff from the guys tonight.
Really amazing to be here to witness it. Hopefully everybody out there feels like they got their money's worth. If you'd like to get even more money's worth, you can come hit us up at amxrace.com and join races like this for an $18,000 prize pool, which is not going to be there forever. We're finishing. Just check my non-existent watch over here. It's not going to be there forever. We're closing up the season in just a few races. We've got about 15 or so race days left, less than that. So you got to get in here while you can. AMXrace.com, sign up there, and we'll see you out here for the next race. Of course, coming up, we do have even more AMX action. This is it for this week, but of course, the week goes on, and that means that coming up next, it will be, gotta go to the next slide, Toyotas on Alton Park, and then Velosters and Elantra TCs out on the Nürburgring. So a lot of iconic cars and tracks coming up. It's even more accessible than ever. Find out all about our Season 2 mid-season changes, all about the prize pools, how to sign up, amxrace.com. Got any feedback, took some screenshots, or you just want to hit a sick pose, send us all of that and more on social media. You can see that down below, or I believe it's also on our stream, whether it's Twitch or YouTube, wherever you're watching us from. A big thanks to everybody for tuning in. Any final words, Marco, before we head on out?
Well, I mean, I know on Saturday and Sunday I'm going to be off. I'm going to be finally some real life marshalling for the first time since 2019. And when I come back, because it's going to be a little bit of a trek, a couple of hours away from where I live, I know that I'm going to come back around like midnight Italian time, and at 1 a.m. for me, we'll have the AMX race. So I will have to, have some entertainment as I gently fall asleep, hopefully after a good 2 days of work.
When race is life, the Marco story. We'll be making that documentary a little bit later on. But fabulous day. Great to join you, Marco, today. Thanks for joining me. And a big thanks to everybody out there for joined us for today's broadcast. On behalf of myself, Marco, our production team behind the scenes, and everybody who watched today's races, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here next week for more action from AMX Season 2.